What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Guys Did Magic. Today, we are going to be going over the kind of wrap-up cards from Murders of Karlov Manor. Normally, we don't actually talk about a whole lot of the commons or uncommons. However, for this video, we're doing a little bit of a recap from some of the more notable cards, some of the cards that got some traction underneath them from the set that maybe we haven't talked about so far. So these are going to be some cards that are going to be some of the commons or uncommons that might actually make a splash in standard or other formats. As well as maybe some of the cards from the pre-constructed commander decks. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Yeah, so what's going on? My name is Dave. I'm going to be your host. And then joining me today, the absolutely fantastic, wonderful in every way co-host of mine, Shane. Shane, say what's up.
What's up, nerds?
So the first card that we're going to go ahead and talk about today is Slime Against Humanity. This is 2 and a green for a total of 3 mana. It is a sorcery, and it says, create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are oozes or are named Slime Against Humanity. And probably the reason why this card got so much notoriety is because of that last sentence here is, a deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity.
Wow. So we had the rat deck. Now we got the slime deck. I don't know what. Do you ever think these kind of strategies are fun? Seem kind of gimmicky to me.
I do think they're a little bit more gimmicky. I think sometimes they're fairly decent. The what was it? Persistent. There you go. That's a hard word to say. Persistent Partitioners. That one saw a little bit of play. Dragon's Approach is another card that like we do see that pop up from time to time. And then I guess if you are somebody who's like really into like demon tribal, there's also the cleric. I am really struggling to remember the name of that one, but you can only have 7 of that one. I think.
Yeah.
Either that or it's the dwarves.
I don't know. You can have more than one. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this good? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. Coming in at 3 mana, and this is a sorcery too, so
yeah.
I don't really know.
Unless you just like literally have half your deck this, or a bunch of ways to search up and tutor this. Just doesn't. I mean, if you can make it happen, man.
If you want to go ooze tribal, this card slots right in.
There you go.
All right, so the next card we're going to be going over is Pick Your Poison. This is a single green mana for a sorcery, very flexible card. It says choose 1. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact, each opponent sacrifices an enchantment, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. How good is this card, Shane?
I do actually think this one could see more play than the ooze because, like you said, very flexible. You got some opponents that have artifacts, they're gone. Enchantments, they're gone. Like, I do like this one. The creature with flying, that could be relevant because flying is a very annoying creature type to get around sometimes. Maybe I could see this in EDH, but definitely, like, limited. This is probably an all-star.
I think this might be more so a sideboard card.
Yeah.
If your opponent is playing really artifact or enchantment heavy, I am a little bit worried about just kind of this set in general, though. I would hate to say like each opponent sacrifices an artifact to get rid of an opponent's clue token. So I think this card may not be super strong depending upon the format. Getting rid of an opponent's enchantment, however, you're probably going to get some value out of that. And then the last one there, the creatures with flying, that is very situational. Do you think that you would play this card if it had fewer modes but were an instant?
Like if you only had 2 to choose from and it was instant?
Yeah,
probably,
sure.
Probably. I think the sorcery of it does kind of limit it, but like you said, if the situation arises that you need an enchantment gone, that's great. I mean, like I do know that the flying creature is situational, but how many times have you just lost to a big flying beater in, like, again, limited? This card have been like a great sideboard card in game 2 to be like, that will not happen again.
That's true. Another little fun thing about this card too is if your opponent is playing, obviously this wouldn't impact you in standard, but if your opponent is playing with one of like the Theros gods, one of the ones that have to have a certain amount of devotion in order to count as a creature, since those do have indestructible, they're kind of a pain in the butt to get rid of, but this actually has your opponent sacrifice things. So this is a way to get around those creatures.
That's true, actually. And they're enchantments, yeah.
There you go. There'd be enchantments, not creatures. But, you know, you get what I'm going with.
Yeah.
All right, the next card we have here is Red Herring. This is 1 and a red for an artifact creature, Cluefish. It is a 2/2 with haste and says it attacks each combat if able. It also has an ability in which you may pay 2 mana and sacrifice the Red Herring and draw a card.
I guess, yeah. 2 mana, 2/2 haste, but I don't know. Well, I think that having to attack each combat if able, I don't know.
I don't know if I'm the biggest fan.
Yeah.
I like the potential of the card draw there. I do think that this is going to be a little bit more mana intensive because like I don't want to keep 2 up and go to attack and then well, if my opponent just tries to block this, then I can sack it to draw some cards.
I see that. Yeah. I guess it's one of those things where when I have a 2-mana 2/2 haster, I want to play it on turn 2, but if it has to attack and there's a blocker up, like, well, don't have the other 2 to pay to draw cards. That's a bummer, but yeah, I don't know. This is almost something you want to play on turn 4, I guess. Oh.
I don't know. The 2 mana 2/2 with haste, I still see that like that could potentially just be fine on its own, and I guess it does have upside in the case you draw it later on in the game, like kind of what you mentioned.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
The next card we're going to talk about is not a common or an uncommon, although I don't know if rarity actually even matters so much here, because it's going to be from a precon deck. So this one here is Prisoner's Dilemma. It is 2 red for a total of 5 mana. It is a sorcery, and it is kind of confusing, so bear with me on this one. It says each opponent secretly chooses Silence or Snitch. Then the choices are revealed. If each opponent chose Silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to each of them. If each opponent chose Snitch, it deals 8 damage to each of them. Otherwise, it deals 12 damage to each opponent who chose Silence. And it has a flashback cost of 5 and 2 red.
Okay, wait. So if we're playing this, if I play this, right, and you guys are my opponents, you have to all decide to choose Silence, so it only deals 4 to you, right? Because otherwise, if you don't, and you all choose Snitch, and it's 8, and if you guys are split down the middle, it does 12? Is that what I'm understanding?
So here's the little thing. It's split down the middle. If we split our votes down the middle, so we have some who are snitches and some who chose silence, then yeah, it'll deal 12 damage, but it's only going to deal that 12 damage to the people who chose silence.
God, wow. So if you want to be the one guy to kind of like, if you're like, oh yeah, we're all choosing Silence, and then you secretly, choose Snitch, just you, that's kind of crazy, dude. That's really mean.
So yeah, if you get everybody else to go with silence and then you're the snitch, you're fine. You don't get
Yeah.
hurt from this card.
Dude, that is, talk about politics and like mind games at its finest. That's crazy. Huh.
So it's a neat card. I'm glad it exists. It's a very cool effect. Is it playable?
It will be played, I'm sure. Is it
I actually don't
playable?
like
I
this
don't know.
card.
It does cost 5, but the flashback again is really hefty too. But having this triggered twice, okay, let's think about the floor then. 5 mana to do 4 damage to everybody at the table, probably not the best. You're right. So I guess you're hoping that someone's gonna be a snitch, right? You're hoping that
Well,
someone's gonna throw a wrench into the play.
so even at that, I understand that this card has sorcery. I understand that this card has flashback, so you're going to be able to hopefully cast this thing twice. Although the flashback cost is a very real cost. 7 mana is a lot of mana, so there is the potential that you don't even actually get to do this. My thought here being on this is, if this gets cast against me, I'm probably just going to say Snitch. I'm either going to get hit for 8 or I'm not going to get hit at all. And I know that 8 sounds like a ton of life, but chances are that's probably not going to be enough to kill me. And my opponent did spend 5 mana on this. So there's a very real chance they're actually not doing anything else with their turn because of how hefty of a cost this is.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I am looking forward to playing against you with this card because if I know you're always going Snitch, and I don't know, maybe I go Snitch too. Who knows?
See, but if you go Snitch too, we're fine.
I guess
We
that's
just
true.
take 8.
Well, either way, I don't want to get hit for 12, so I'm going Snitch with you.
There you go. See, and that's what I think it is I think that trying to like make sure that nobody gets hit for that 12, like everybody's going to want to just pile on there with the snitch. So I think this is 5 mana, deal 8 damage to everybody. Is that good enough? I don't know.
It's a fun card. I think it's fun.
It is a fun card. All right, up next, we have A Killer Among Us. This is 4 and a green for a total of 5 mana. It is an enchantment, and it says, whenever a Killer Among Us enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token, a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token, and a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Then secretly choose human, merfolk, or goblin. Sacrifice a Killer Among Us. Reveal the chosen creature type. If target attacking creature token is the chosen type, put 3+1/+1 counters on it, and it gains Death Touch until end of turn. You are going to get one of each of those tokens. So for 5 mana, you're going to get an enchantment that's going to make you 3 1/1s. The surprise little twist there is that like one of those 1/1s has the potential to be a 4/4 with Death Touch, at least Death Touch for a turn.
That's true.
So
That's true.
technically, you're going to get 6 power and 6 toughness on this for 5 mana. And there is a little bit of a surprise factor. I do worry, though, that coming in at 5 mana, it's a cute effect, but it's a bit expensive for this.
It's a one-time effect for 5, though, right?
It is a one-time effect for 5, yes. I do love the artwork for this card, too, though. It's just everybody's pointing fingers. That poor merfolk is just trying to be like, it wasn't me,
He's
guys.
like, wait a minute. Yeah, they're both pointing, and he's like, what?
I swear. I was just walking by. This is not my dead body.
They're like, why are you not near an ocean? Question mark. That's the real question.
The goblin is over there like, it wasn't me, dude. I'm standing on a log. I'm not tall enough to kill this person.
Uh,
So some of our top commons and uncommons that got a little bit of a push here are coming from Instagram. So this next one, kind of an Instagram all-star, at least getting a lot of talk over there. One of our more liked cards. This one is Breakout. Breakout is a red and a green for a sorcery, and it says, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them. If that card has mana value of 2 or less, you may put it on the battlefield, and it gains haste until end of turn. If you didn't put the revealed card on the battlefield this way, put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
hmm. Okay. I mean, I don't hate it. I feel like it's not the greatest in my opinion, but you will get a creature with haste if it's cheap, right?
Yeah, it has to be 2 or less. I feel
Yeah.
like this is very situational. I feel like this is probably not going to be good enough to see play in like EDH. But if you are playing, if there's like a combo deck that revolves around a little creature that does pop up in standard, or maybe you could play around with this in modern, I do think that this card actually might be good enough there.
Yeah, I feel like you out of all of us are always the one saying the whiff potential. Top 6, like I guess it's a little bit better because you're digging pretty deep, but I would suck to
You are
do
going to
that.
be you are going to be digging fairly deep. I do think that just the mana value 2 or less, it is a little bit more of a restriction in Commander. In Modern, this is going to hit a lot of creatures, and in Standard, I mean, this is still going to hit a pretty significant amount. Plus, if you are trying to dig for some key piece for your deck, digging 6 in Standard, I mean, you're going to look over the top 1/10 of your deck. Is that good enough? I don't know. And even in the case that you do whiff on this, you're still going to be able to replace this with another card. So with potential or not, like it's still like you're not punting in the stands. You're not just spending 2 mana to do nothing.
That's true. Yeah, and the art's pretty awesome too. Breaking out like, "What's up, dude? Come on, we're
I
getting
mean,
you
I
out
do
of here."
like that. That whole like, hey kiddo, your ride is here. Is he
Yeah,
the ride?
I think he is.
Yeah,
He
because
smashed open the door.
he's huge compared to the poor dude wrapped up there. The next card we're going to talk about is Harried Dronesmith. This is 3 and a red for a total of 4 mana. It is a creature human artificer. It's a 2/3, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. It gains haste until end of turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step.
So you get a little stop. What does this card do? Like what? Oh my
This is
god.
just going to make you a token. It's going to make you a token with flying. We've
Yeah.
seen these kinds of cards before. They typically see play in like ETB matters decks. So if you're playing around in EDH with like something like a Purphoros deck, this is going to slot right in there. It's just a way for you to continuously make sure that you're hurting your opponents. If you are playing around with something that just generally cares about like ETBs, these cards are pretty good. And then even on top of that, this is going to potentially give you like some sacrifice fodder, maybe like a little creature that you can just rush in into the air and have a steady stream of Thopters. So I don't think this card is super powerful, especially coming in at 4 mana, but I don't hate it.
I do wish that, it was permanent, but I get it. That might be a little too strong giving you a colorless flyer every start of combat, but yeah, it just kind of sucks. Like, yeah, you're going to hit him for 1 unless you can bump it up, and then it's gone. Unless you do also care about things dying, or maybe even
hmm
sacrificing, who knows?
There are a couple cards too, because these Thopters are artifacts. There are a couple cards that care about artifacts going to the graveyard, so that's an
That's true.
additional piece.
Very true. Or just care about whenever you sacrifice an artifact. So that's true. Okay. I don't hate it.
The final card that we're going to go ahead and talk about for this video is Gearbane Orangutan. This is 2 and a red for a total of 3 mana. It is a creature ape. It is a 2/2, and it has reach. It also says whenever it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, or sacrifice an artifact, and if you do, you put 2+1/+1 counters on Gearbane Orangutan.
I think this kind of just harkens back to the first 1 mana green. This is probably a really good sideboard piece in any kind of standard, or maybe not even standard, probably just limited. Anything that destroys a target artifact like that. I feel like we see those in sideboards quite often. I kind of like that for that.
So this is 3 mana for a 4/4 with reach, and it does have the potential to also destroy maybe one of your opponent's artifacts. Given that, once again, right now it's going to be heavily incentivized for you to blow up their clues because you're going to see a lot of clues in limited, probably also in standard. But I mean, this is a way that you could potentially get rid of like a key piece that they were hoping to keep around in a game like EDH. There are always mana rocks that are floating around, so maybe blow up your opponent's soul ring if you want to. Or if you don't have access to something like that, I mean, you could always use the bottom half of this card, the flexibility there, and you get 3 mana for a 4/4.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do like the flexibility of it. So, like you said, maybe that means it's good enough to not have it just in sideboard, because if it doesn't destroy an artifact, you are getting the upside, like you said. Then We'll
Yeah,
see.
I, I actually don't think this card is going to see play, but I was just trying to pitch it anyways.
I'll say if it does see play, I do think it's going to be more of a sideboard thing.
Alrighty, Shane. So that's going to do it for the new cards that we have here. Before we move on to just kind of like wrapping things up, though, are there any cards of note from the ones that we've discussed today that you're super excited for? Maybe some stuff that you're curious about or excited to play with?
Honestly, man, that Prisoner's Dilemma looks like a lot of fun. I know it's very heavy, but just the fact that they, I normally don't like secrets and voting whatever cards, but that one seems fun because it's like you could literally be the one that ruins the bargain. I don't know. I like that card.
I'm here for that one as well. I do think I have to give it away to the first card that we talked about today, though, and that's going to be Slime Against Humanity. Tons of fun. I don't know, build your ooze booger deck and have fun with it. So thank you so much for checking out this YouTube video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like this video. As always, we love all of your commentary. We love your feedback. Please make sure that you drop a comment down below. If you want to find us on our other socials, make sure that you check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And lastly, if you want to join these wonderful people who are popping up on the screen right now, we do have a Patreon, so you can go ahead and find the link down below. No pressure for that, but we obviously love the love. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if this is your first time checking out our YouTube channel, we do also do the upgrades for the precons. So those are going to be coming out here really soon. Keep an eye out for those. Until next time, this has been Guys at Magic. Peace.
Bye.